Good morning, everyone. I show it's 9 o'clock. Blake, everything good there and ready?
You're ready.
Very good. We'll start off with call to order and a roll call, please. Kara there?
Yep, I'm here. Is Chris Collins online?
Kara, he's not. Jacob Ranicky will be in his place today.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Jeff Miller is excused. Is Sheriff Schutz on? How about Shane McSheehy? Mike Bryant?
Mike Bryant's here.
Eric Daw? I think it's on. Lynn Tazioli?
Lynn is here.
Thank you, Josh Duden.
Duden's here.
Adam Welp?
Adam's here.
Tom Weevil? We do have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Lynn, motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Ranicky will second.
It's a motion and a second for the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the July 9th minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved by Daw.
Is there a second?
Lynn can second.
It's a motion and a second to approve the July 9th minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5, the State of Iowa Administrator Report. Blake?
All right. I will just jump into the quarterly reports. Nothing really to point out on the PSAP payment. It's the same form as we've used over the course of the past year that shows the full allotted amount to each county, the percentage that we were short that we are recovering, the invoice amount that went to each county, and then any counties with MOUs that allow us to withhold on the front end their total remittance checks. So nothing really of note there. And then moving into the expenditure report, we received 8.3 million in wireless revenue, normal amount of prepaid revenue. A couple things I will point out, there's 2 items here with asterisks. Those numbers actually changed. We received a couple of invoices after we finalized the quarterly reports. One was from the state auditor's office, and one was our Geocom invoice. So those full figures are displayed here, but those full amounts do not enter into what we calculated for our shortage. So again, that shortage total was come up with before some of those numbers were finalized, and with it being the end of the year, we just went with it. So the takeaway from that is actually we're all invoiced a little bit less than you probably would have. So if you continue on down, again, this form is mostly the same, self-explanatory. I'm not going to go through every line item, but we were short $876,295.30, which we invoiced counties on that total. You can see where we're at with the quarterly payments here in this box, and then year to date in this the lower box below. So any questions on the quarterly financials? I'm going to jump into my slides here. Talk through a couple other items that I think are of note from the quarterly. So first 2 items there we already covered, and I want to kind of cover that amount that we needed to invoice was over our projections, and I want to cover kind of why that happened. Within that quarter, we did fund the final payment on the data center move. Those are non-recurring costs. And then additionally, we funded a third of the SIP POIs that we've talked about the last number of months. So that one in particular, I think we had projected into this current quarter that we're in, not last quarter when we actually funded it. So you can see here where the projections lie for the next 8 quarters. Couple things that we're working on. We're working with Zetron as well as ICN to kind of level off our quarterly payments with them. So there's no real big peaks and valleys. So that is what's depicted here. I'll also note that this last quarter we had 8 PSAPs re-up their 5-year shared services agreement. So that's a total equipment refresh. All of those costs got dumped into the future projections as well. So that's what you see here. And then I will send out what that means county by county the next 4 quarters later today to the counties. So, and then just one final bullet here. If I went back and looked at this time last year of what we projected our shortages would be. And so at the time, about a year ago, we projected needing about 2.8 to 2.9 million over the course of the year that we just completed, and we actually invoiced 2.2. So for what it's worth, we came in under our projections from a year ago, even though this most recent quarter was over what we projected. Any questions on the financials? Hearing none. The first month of GIS grants benchmarks for Q1, sent those out still, or I should say, starting off the year right. All counties met the benchmarks. As a reminder, same as previous years, those GIS grant payments will go out at the end of the quarter. So another month and a half or so to go for that. No training funds to be considered during this meeting. And that concludes my portion of the update. I would pause for any questions if there are any. And then turn it over to Lynn Warren with Zetron.
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Ken.
Yep. Just a really short update. Benton County is going live on shared services in a couple weeks. And as you mentioned, a lot of PSAPs are re-upping for their years 6 through 10. We are starting to look at 2027 on that. So we will be reaching out to all the PSAPs that are coming up on their 6 through 10 through for 2027. So next slide, please. That's what the map is. Hasn't changed in a month since May. Still Woodbury, Benton, and Monroe are the deployments that we are working on. Next slide. Just an update on the training portal. Again, if you're interested in signing up, reach out to Christy Wade. You do not need to be part of shared services. Last month, I'd mentioned that the CTO Train the Trainer was going to be available in August. That is delayed. I don't have a new date yet. And the stats there of the number of courses enrolled and completed just keeps going up. So glad people are enjoying this. And that's it for me.
Any questions on anything that we've covered so far? If not, I will turn it back over to you, Mr. Acting Chair.
Thank you, Blake. Thank you both for your reports. Item 6 is training fund request. It didn't sound like there were any. 7 is report of officers, boards, and standing committees. Are there any technical advisories to share with the group? Hearing none, how about an update? Mike, did you come off mute?
I did. I was getting ready. I don't have my glasses on for the legislative part. Are we getting close to that? Or
Couple items ahead.
okay, sorry.
Stand by. Item B is the update on the Iowa Statewide Interoperable Communication System Board. Haley, you available?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Mike, I'll hustle through this so you get your chance. We did look at the interoperability markers for 2026. That's a yearly review that is done based on interoperability capabilities of the state and our own ISIX board goals and objectives that are identified in the SCIP. Those markers are identified in 3 categories: initial, defined, or optimized. And all of our markers fall within the more sophisticated and stabilized categories, and none are in the initial phase at this point. Just a reminder that the Central States exercise is going on. It's in Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's a very large COMEX communications exercise. If anybody's interested, that registration is filling up fast. We're still waiting to scope the TA request for the INTD, so I don't have dates, but expect to see that in the fall up in Carroll County. And we have a request in to do a state-sponsored COM-L. I should hear back from CISA on that very shortly. That probably will then fall in the fall as well in the Des Moines metro area. If anyone is interested in INTD and those dates don't seem to work for them, just be aware that Wisconsin is opening up their course, and that starts September 21st. So reach out to me if you want any more information on that. The only last thing I'll mention is that at the end of July and maybe the first couple days of August, there were some reports of radio mic ghost clicks is what they're calling them, when it looks like radio has keyed up, but the officer or whoever has the radio is saying that they weren't even utilizing the radio at the time. So Motorola found the problem. They did an upgrade or an update of some sort. But after the fact, it sounded like some people had experienced that and hadn't made anyone aware of it. So if you have any strange things happening on the radio, just think about letting the NOC know or passing that along so that we can keep track of who's experiencing it and when it does start and stop. That would help those folks. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Swick Nichols. Any questions about the ISICS board? Hearing none, item C is our DHS CISA ECD. Chris Myers, you available?
He's out this week.
All right. How about legislative issues? Mike Bryant?
Thank you. Sorry, you'd think after 30 years I'd know the order of the agenda, but I'm looking at a really small screen and I didn't have my glasses. So
You're okay.
one is just a general question. Does anybody know, because we don't get face to face a lot. Does anybody know, is there any effort from APCO or NINA or any other groups to look at a bill we can support as far as the surcharge goes? And that's a general question to anybody out there. And I guess silence is a no. Go ahead.
Hi, Mike. This is Jacob Reineke with the NINA Executive Board, at least. We tried to add some language to during this last legislative session to tag the surcharge onto the property tax bill. And Lynn, correct me if I'm wrong, but and that was struck down. We're in talks again about trying to throw something like that together for this next legislative session. We're also having discussions on the budget issues that some counties are facing as well with the caps on all that. So we're working on it. It's just we haven't had much bite down at the Capitol on our ideas with these.
Thank you. If anybody else has something, jump in. I mean, it's a multi-headed monster, lots of branches on the trees. It continues to change. It's hard for us as a council to put something together because we probably have individuals or representatives that are opposed to doing any kind of surcharge increase. But I think I'm kind of thinking we might. I started a conversation with Story County, whether we try to get something with the sheriffs and deputies as well. A lot of this, ends up kind of falling in their group with the PSAPs. The Public Safety Coalition, meets in early December. Legislative session, even though it's still hot, is not that far away. Obviously, there's terrible budget consequences to the fluctuating revenues and try to figure out backwards, as I call it, things, and I'd like to hope that we could come up with somebody or some legislator that could put together something, so we're not trying to fight the consolidation issue and keep it separate. Maybe we'll never be able, that's a pipe dream, but we could come up with some sort of something we could all get behind, or most all of us could get behind. And I think we're in that crunch time period to get it done soon. And then try to sell it, those that are in favor. So anyway, I'm willing to help. I don't know that I can drive this thing, but I will just tell you that I have the experience from the time when we raised the surcharge for the wireless from 50 cents 20 some odd years ago or whatever it was. And, we got behind it with some surveys and some information. Obviously, we don't know who the governor is going to be, and that can make the whole playing field. But I don't know that we can wait till December to come up with a plan either, after an election. So I think we got to have at least a fork in the road. If it's going to be who's the governor related, then we got to have two options if that's what it boils down to. But anyway, my 2 cents worth. But I'm not really feeling good about sitting back and not doing anything. And Mr. Chair, if there's something that you want to put together committee wise or somebody, I would be willing to help, but obviously I can't drive this thing alone. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Nick, I see your hand up.
Yeah. So I would just echo what Jacob had said on behalf of the APCO Executive Board. We've been working with a public safety coalition or group for the last couple of years on surcharge updates, removal of some of the language that we find concerning in regards to current bill back language as well, and it continues to get shot down. So that conversation's happening. I'm with Story County, so I also have both governmental affairs through ISSDA and the current president of ISSDA in my office, and it's part of our ongoing conversations as well.
Thanks, Nick. Ann Lenny, your hand's up.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Nick Lenny. I'm with Story County Sheriff's Office as well, representing ISSDA. I think there's a lot of concern based off, especially last year with the legislative session. When you talk about surcharge, it instantly was more revolved around consolidation and forced consolidation. And there's going to be a lot of concern this session to raise that issue if that's where the conversation goes, because I can tell you forced consolidation would be much more detrimental than the current surcharge we're operating at right now. So personally, if I had a crystal ball and was looking at this next legislative session, I would anticipate any attempts would instantly go to forced consolidation again. And like I said, it's much more detrimental for us to deal with a forced consolidation than it is just to maintain with the current surcharges that we're getting now.
Any other comments from anybody? I heard Mike ask about it, and I'll raise the question. Is the council interested in forming a committee or continuing to monitor, or what is the position of the council and the direction we would like to take? It would seem like, just Rob's opinion, there's a number of organizations working on this. We could also work on it, or there are representatives of APCO and NENA and ISSDA and a number of others that are on this council that at some point in the future throw our support behind any sort of proposal that comes out of any of those industry associations. Does anyone have other thoughts?
I just have a comment as representative of the ISSDA Legislative Committee. I'm more than willing to have conversations about options moving forward. I just know there's going to be some caution from our side of the aisle on any proposals.
Yeah, I get it.
Mr. Chair, this is Mike Bryant again. Yeah, I get that, but I look back at, part of it, we are an advisory council, and who comes and asks us? I mean, for the most part, I don't see that happening a lot. I mean, maybe it happens more on the local level, but I don't think it hurts to, at some point, for the council to take a position that we're in favor of this without the consolidation or whatever it is. We can put the parameters on there. So at least I'm not real good about doing nothing, sitting back and waiting and being reactive. And that's the only reason I brought it up was I'm kind of more of in favor of proactive. And I will just say to Sergeant Lenny, you were on my list. I talked to Sheriff Fitzgerald, and I just haven't got a hold of you yet. So sorry, but that's where that comment came from about I'd been in contact with Story County because that's where I live. But
Yep, no problem. No, I appreciate that. I like the proactivity, certainly, and we're trying to be that way last year too. And I think instead of being proactive and pushing something that was going to make it better, we're all on the defensive strongly and trying to fight off something that was going to be extremely damaging short term. So that's why I just throw that caution in there.
Yep.
Well, and Mike, it's not for lack of trying either. We have been making these attempts, and we've got folks on both sides of the aisle that or that favor this. It's just we're having trouble getting it out of committee.
Yep. I agree. Yep.
Is there a unification between all these different industry associations? Is there a similar message coming from all of them? Is there any coordination between them? Quite honestly, is this council, because it's made up of members of those associations, a place to pull that together and unify the message, I guess, to some degree?
We did APCO and NENA did a joint one-pager this last session that had support from a number of organizations across the state. So, and prior to that being put out, we had a couple meetings with all of us together to kind of find the common ground on that. We found our agreements, and then we sent our paper out. Nick, correct me if I'm wrong on that, would you?
No, that should be accurate as well. Since I'm speaking to Jacob's point already, I'm just going to take the moment, and Blake did help lead a 18-month lead up to the current legislative language as well a couple of years ago that we've continued with and tried to implement across. And Captain Lenny, who I see his hand is raised, has also been at the forefront of trying to gather those associations and continue with messaging. And here in the last couple of years has also led with some of the efforts on the language strike, the line item veto with the governor in regards to some of the clawback language as well. So we're joint in efforts, I think. I think that Captain Lenny may speak to the same point, but I I feel like the associations are pulling together in the same direction in regards to maybe not as much with the consolidation specifically, but definitely with the surcharge. It's needed, and we've been meeting on it regularly.
So is it something as that matures in the next few months before the session starts? Is it something that the council weighs in on and participates in, I guess? Puts our name on?
I think it definitely isn't going to hurt the effort if we all come together and find some legislation or some proposal. Certainly having the council vote of approval or stamp of approval behind that plan is only going to help us. And I know last year, like it's been mentioned, ISSDA, APCO, Nina, we all worked fairly close together to come to an agreement on what a surcharge increase language would look like. So we're unified. It just others in the state house had their own idea of what they're going to do with that bill, and it kind of morphed into a completely different beast that we spent a lot of time, effort, and resources fighting against.
Any other thoughts from anybody? Well, this agenda item is on here every month, and yes, has been pointed out, the session's coming up. Mike says it's still hot, but yes, we need to be thinking about it. And I would say go back to your constituencies and the agencies and organizations that all of us represent, and be ready and willing to throw our support behind something as it develops over the next couple months. Does anyone disagree? All right, more to come. Item E is information sharing by council members. Does anybody have anything to share? Item 8 is unfinished business. I don't believe there's anything. 9, new business, not that I'm aware of. 10, travel requests. Are there any? Hearing none. Any business from the floor in the room? Any business from any of the virtual participants? Any 911 issues at the PSAPs? Hearing none, the announcement that our meetings are held the second Thursday of each month until further notice in conjunction with the Essex Board. Our next meeting is scheduled for September 10th at 9:30 a.m. If there's nothing further, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Reineke, motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Lynn can second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you all for participating.